What's up everyone? So glad you could join me here on this channel for my first ever video. First things first, I'm just gonna let you know, it's pronounced Zinny Dimes, okay? So I know, it's a little weird spelt, but it's an old nickname of mine and I figured it would be a good channel. You're gonna see a My Career series later on where I'm gonna be dropping a lot of dimes. I'm gonna make a 5'7" point guard. Myself, I'm like 5'7", 5'8". So I wanted to model it. I think it could be a fun idea, so it would be great if you could watch that around, but tonight I want to talk to you about why I think the Houston Rockets are going to win the 2020 NBA Championship. So, I know it's already a little bit late because the series is already tied 1-1, which has been fine for me, I guess, because it's kind of just still even. I wanted to originally put this out a little bit before the series, but I was getting caught up and it was my first video anyway, so figured I was going to be a little bit lenient, but it's gonna come out now, and so I want to talk about why I still think that the Houston Rockets are gonna beat the Lakers, beat whoever they're facing in the second round, whether that be the Clippers or the Nuggets, and end up winning the 2020 NBA Championship in this bubble. So, one of the biggest reasons why I believe in the Rockets so much is just the chemistry that it seems like everyone has with each other. Now, when they originally made the trade to get rid of Clint Capella, I know that a lot of people, including myself, thought that it was a stupid idea to get rid of the only guy that was basically above 6'9", I think. And so that was a mistake, but now when you actually watch them play, you can tell that it really doesn't matter too much, because I genuinely believe that James Harden is probably the best post defender in the NBA out of all guards. And on top of that, he's been playing his best defense I've ever seen him been playing on ball and off ball. He's getting a lot of steals, a lot of deflections. He's engaged and he has a strong team around him. Robert Covington is 4th in the NBA in deflections during this playoff run so far. James Harden is number 14th in loose balls recovered. And we all know everything that Russell Westbrook is able to do. And this whole team has been playing such a hard team defense. The zone defense that they've been playing, where they've been switching onto everyone and just making everything tough. They don't want anyone to really get any easy buckets, as any defense wouldn't, but it's just the Rockets have been able to execute their defense to perfection basically during the playoff run, and I know they kind of struggled a little bit, which is kind of another point that I wanted to bring up, because if you've been watching, you know that the Rockets have been winning a lot of games when their stars haven't been performing that well, or at least if they haven't won the games, they've been very close to all of them pretty much. Even the game against the Lakers, game 2, they were down by over 20 points and they ended up making it really close. They were leading going into the fourth quarter, and I think it's that type of attitude and that kind of spirit that this Rockets team brings that's going to lead them to winning it all. Now, I don't ever want to bet against LeBron James, because I think that's pretty much always been proven to be a bad idea, unless he's facing Kevin Durant, but I don't know. So I am betting against his supporting cast, because I don't think that Alex Caruso, no offense to Caruso, I really do love him, I love his memes, but I don't think that him, along with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Markieff Morris, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, I don't think that supporting cast is going to bring what the Houston Rockets are able to bring, because when they have this lineup with James Harden and the shooters and Russell Westbrook, that is what keeps them in the games. They're just constantly pouncing on everyone, shooting as much threes as they can pretty much, and they're hitting them. And it took the NBA this long, but finally we found out since Steph Curry that 3 points is actually greater than 2 points. And I know there wasn't a 3-point line, but I'm gonna leave that joke in there. There really is no home field advantage anymore. There's no crowd. I think that's gonna play really well into the Rockets and their system, because there's almost no pressure on the 3-point shooters on either side. But we saw early in the bubble, and even now, I don't think you could really trust the Lakers as much from the 3-point line as you would the Rockets. So I think the Rockets have the 3-point shooting. They've got James Harden, and hopefully Russell Westbrook will be able to turn it around. That's two different guys that could really get to the rim and force almost whatever offense they can, even though Westbrook has not really been able to prove that sentence right. We know he's capable of doing it, and I think he'll be able to turn around a little bit and get back to where he needs to be. And when that happens, the rest of the NBA is going to be on notice, because Westbrook and Harden, when they're on with the rest of this team, is unstoppable. I will say that I think that the Rockets should be using Tyson Chandler a little bit. I mean, I definitely don't think he's completely washed. I seen him play okay during this season and previous seasons, and I think PJ Tucker, especially if they want a sustained playoff run, I think Mike D'Antoni might look into, or should look into, playing someone else at center like Tyson Chandler for at least a couple of minutes. I don't think he should be playing more than like 10 minutes a game, but at least put him out there for a little bit, get this team more energy, and I think he could play well on the defensive side of things a little bit, even though he's not at all the same player that he used to be. He used to be a defensive player of the year, so I think him on that court isn't going to be too bad, and I think he'll be able to do okay, at least catch some lobs. And I think Tyson Chandler is someone that they could lean on a little bit during this playoff run. They've got Jeff Green, Austin Rivers. Before he made it to the NBA, Austin Rivers played in the same exact place that they're playing right now. And I genuinely do think that that might help him a lot. And he showed that one game against the Kings that he's capable of dropping insane numbers. And so Austin Rivers is another person that I think really could be a key factor in this series. Mike D'Antoni will be getting fired this offseason most likely if they don't win a championship. And so I think that is going to make everyone play even harder, because I know that James Harden loves Mike D'Antoni. So he doesn't want him to lose his job. Harden and Westbrook believe in each other. And now let's actually talk about the Rockets' depth that they have. At the trade deadline, they brought in Robert Covington, who they traded Clint Capella for, among others. And I think that addition was exactly what they needed. And they knew that, which is why they did the move. Because Robert Covington is able to bring so much on the defensive side of things. And on top of that, he's been shooting great this playoff run, better than I think anyone could have really expected out of him. He's been able to rebound when they need him to, get a lot of three-point shots. He's been such an improved three-point shooter throughout his career, and now at this point, he's looking really great. He was shooting 50% heading into this series, and is just an incredible shooter. And on top of him, they have Eric Gordon, they've got Daniel House, they've got Ben McLemore, they've got PJ Tucker, they've got James Harden himself, and even Russell Westbrook, Austin Rivers, Jeff Green. They're all capable shooters, and I know some people might not like that I'm saying Russell Westbrook is a capable shooter, and I mean, I'm not really saying that because it seems like he's just basically lost his touch from the three-point line. But another reason why I think the Houston Rockets are going to win the championship this year is the fact that they've got not one, but two different MVPs who I think are going to be key in this series, especially Russell Westbrook. Because if Russell Westbrook can't turn around his series, I don't at all believe that this is going to be a championship team. And I think everyone knows that, probably, if you're watching this video, that Russell Westbrook is probably the most important player on this Rockets team at this point, especially with how poorly he's played since coming back from his COVID diagnosis and his quad injury. He has not at all been the same player that was averaging over 30 points a game for a long stretch during the season. Russell Westbrook came back and he's barely averaging 15 now, but we all know what he's capable of. And he himself has looked very unsure of himself on the court. He's made a lot of turnovers, and it's not like this is something new for Westbrook, as we've all seen him do things like this all the time. He's been one of my favorite players. And if the Rockets are in all of these games now, imagine how deadly they might be if Russell Westbrook or James Harden really starts to cook. Because with Harden, if he drops 30, you had an okay night defensively. No one's going to be that mad at you. With Russell Westbrook now, he has been struggling so hard, but if he's able to even average 20, that's a huge addition. And we saw him do pretty good in game one, so it's not like he's washed. He played some of his best basketball. I've watched him for a long time. I think this Houston Rockets version of Russell Westbrook has the potential to be literally the best version of himself. You see him play pretty hard defensively. He gets a lot of rebounds still. He hasn't been the greatest playmaker, and honestly, throughout his entire career, that's never really been that great. Even though he's averaged a triple-double for 3 seasons, it's not really playmaking when you're just dropping it to Steven Adams too much, but it's still great. I love Russell Westbrook. I might be one of his biggest fans. I just don't trust Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, Danny Green, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I don't trust that group as much as I trust Eric Gordon, Robert Covington, PJ Tucker, Daniel House, and the rest of the Rockets group. I think that the Rockets just have the better depth, and they have a great system around them, and they're all playing extremely hard on the defensive side of things. And I think that they're going to be able to contain the Lakers. It'll be a tough series. I'm picking the Rockets in 7, but I think they could get it done. The Rockets will be able to turn around their season completely, win the 2020 NBA championship, and that will be that. Well, that's gonna be all for me. Thank you all so much for watching. I'd love it if you could hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to stick around, and I'm gonna be posting a lot more content, so just stay updated. I'll be here. Leave a comment, share the video a little bit, do whatever you want, but most importantly, have a great life. See ya.